Welcome to Purple Friends. Welcome back, everybody. I am your co-host, Co.
And I'm your co-host, Joe.
And welcome back to Purple Friends. It's a mental health podcast. It's a conversation. It's a cozy little sesh with your buds.
I love that. It is a cozy little sesh with your buds.
Yeah, cozy little bud sesh.
Love it.
What's up, y'all? We hope you're doing good. Been a couple weeks since we've seen you.
It's summer. I don't care if officially the calendar don't say it is, but it's summer.
It's here.
It's here. I cannot tell you how happy I am. That's not my little grateful, but that's my big grateful.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of little gratefuls, let's get the thing started with some little gratefuls. Because I think we're going to need some. It's fine.
It's fine.
It'll be fine.
You go first.
Hang on. You're going to get off this ride with all your arms and legs attached, okay?
Yeah. No arms or legs were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Yeah.
Go first.
My little grateful is sourdough. Yeah, not making it. No, I tried that. I can't. I'm not good at it.
You can, and you were good at it, but I could understand not wanting to do it anymore.
Well, that's the thing. Yes. So I eat a lot of sourdough, go through a lot of sourdough.
Yeah.
I buy 3 to 4 sourdough loaves a week, and I eat them.
Yeah.
And they're so good. Get them from a local baker and freaking love them.
Corey goes to pick up his specialty loaves.
Yes.
And then he eats them all.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute round trip for me to get this dang bread, but it's good. I don't know. I mean, I've mentioned on the podcast before that I have a lot of digestive issues, but this bread is good for my panza, so it's good for my tummy. And so I eat a lot of it, and it's good to me, so I love it. And thank you, sourdough. No one can do what you do.
Lovely. Love that little grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You tried it sometimes, right? You had some yesterday off a fresh loaf.
Oh my God, it was so good. Yeah. I had a long day and I come home and Corey had just picked up his bread and I slice off a little piece and I make myself a fried egg and it was delicious. I had some butter and egg and salt and crunch. Yeah. It was great. Oh,
it sounds good. Simple but effective.
I want more.
Yeah.
My little grateful is not that meal I just described.
Oh.
But it's our new patio furniture. Yay.
Oh, yeah.
I love being outside. Clearly, if you can't tell, I love the sun. And our patio furniture.
It was very sad for the last few years.
Oh, my gosh. It was so sad.
Like we would sit in them and our asses would fall straight through to the pavement, y'all.
Literally 2 of our chairs were fully broken. So we only had 2 chairs left. And
so when we had guests over, we had to stand and watch them while we offered them our chairs.
No, we just didn't have guests, which sucked.
Yeah, that did suck.
Well, no, because my friend did endure.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've had people endure the crummy furniture before.
I keep thinking about my brother-in-law who has also endured our shitty furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we got new patio furniture and I'm out there all the time now.
Yes. It's so nice. We built it ourselves.
Yeah.
From a box of stuff. We didn't built it let me rephrase that. We didn't build it ourselves from scratch.
We IKEA did it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And yeah, it's so nice.
It's so nice.
But now it's kind of stressful because it's
what if it rains?
And it's too nice.
Yeah.
What if it's too nice?
Yeah. I am also there. Anywho, this is grateful. I'm grateful for the patio furniture.
Yes, yeah. No, forget about the stressful. We're grateful for the patio furniture. I am grateful for the patio furniture. I love it.
Yeah.
But let's take a quick left turn into our actual topic today.
You want to tell everyone what it is?
Today, we're talking about misinformation and disinformation.
Cool.
Exactly. Those things themselves are not cool, but it's time to talk about them and what they do to your ding dang brain.
Yeah. Can I just say what inspired this?
Yeah.
I went to my first ever book signing with my friend the other day. A few weeks ago at this point now. And the book was Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And I got my copy signed. And anyway, she basically said that the book was about misinformation, and the premise is about a trad wife. And it's hard to say the whole premise, but it's about a trad wife essentially, and how she is essentially kind of forced to live into these boxes, that were constructed through misinformation or disinformation, that kind of kept her stuck there. And all the consequences of her actions were as a result of that. So I was like, that's so interesting. And so like, as I was reading the book, I was kind of more aware of kind of that theme of like misinformation or disinformation. And it really made me want to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The book was, you said Yesteryear?
Yesteryear.
Yeah. That's really popping right now online.
It's popping on Book Talk.
Yeah. Let's define misinformation and disinformation.
Yeah, because I am not using those interchangeably.
No, but we probably will by accident.
Yeah.
Throughout the podcast. But let's just clarify what they are, because they are supposed to be different. So misinformation, that's accidentally sharing false information. Disinformation, that's knowingly sharing false information for bad reasons. So let's talk about those, and let's talk about what the deal is, how they interact with our brain.
Because obviously, like, it does clutter our feeds, it clutters our mind, it does actively exploit cognitive vulnerabilities, and it triggers our nervous system. So literally every time you open your phone, it is a hit to your nervous system.
Yes. And to build off of that, like, our brains are wired for survival, which means we're naturally seeking certainty and safety. That's how we survive, is through, those kind of things. Well,
can I say something about that? Because like, honestly, it has been a theme I've noticed with some of the conversations I've been having with clients recently. That, yeah, like, we are absolutely wired for our survival. And a huge part of our survival is social elements, I think back to like caveman times is like kind of like what we talk about is, inherently human.
Yeah.
Is this idea of like finding safety in numbers, right? And being in the in crowd, so like you literally don't get ostracized and kicked out of the cave, and are, susceptible to the elements or wildlife or potentially other groups of people that...
A raging dinosaur attack.
Correct.
Out of the cave.
So that's kind of the lens that we're taking here, is that a huge part of misinformation and disinformation are these social elements, these social aspects, these social dynamics. And we're going to talk about that more and like why they're so powerful. But clearly, like, if they are related to life and death for our brain, you can see why these things can feel so heavy sometimes.
Yeah. And so when people are overwhelmed, when they're anxious, they're feeling like a lack of control, in general, people, like all of us, get way more susceptible to false information, whether it's misinformation or disinformation. So usually these narratives, like, when they're believable, they offer simple, concrete explanations for like scary, complex systemic problems. So like, you're processing constantly conflicting information, and it causes this severe cognitive overload. And so you get anxious, you get hypervigilant, and you get this deep-seated interpersonal mistrust. You don't trust people who are trying to tell you the correct information anymore because you're so attached to the other.
Yeah. I mean, and so you can see how that can become cyclical. That confusion can create anxiety, which leads to that vulnerability, which leads to seeking answers, which can lead to more confusion. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're up against when we're talking about informing ourselves or thinking critically or media literacy.
Yes. I was just reading something online about this guy was talking about, he was arguing with his friend, and I wish I could remember the substance of the argument, but basically, like, his friend was saying something that was like completely incorrect. And the guy was like, okay, well, hold on, let me just Google it and I'll show you that it's wrong. And so he Googles it and he shows the guy, and then the guy Googles his exact belief, the wrong belief. And then he shows his phone and he has data to back him up too, because he just searched for confirmation biases.
Yeah. That's the danger of this, is that like, and we talked about AI earlier, because like AI is one of those things that is just going to confirm your bias.
Yes.
It's just going to say what you said. So like, again, when you go and ask Google, and especially now that Google answers you via AI first.
Yeah, Google no longer does the one thing that it was actually decent at.
You do kind of get these already biased answers, it's trying to please you, which is so dangerous. Anyway.
I hate AI and search engines. I got to switch. I got to do DuckDuckGo or something. Let's talk about some misconceptions.
Yes.
So a lot of people think that only uneducated or gullible people fall prey to misinformation, but that's not true, because like we just said, anyone can be manipulated because it's designed to bypass your logic. It's designed to target core emotions like fear and anger, protection, that kind of stuff. It's designed to get you riled up and make you not think as clearly, so you'll just believe it.
Yeah. Think about like your immune system. I feel like it's kind of similar to that. Like if you're sleeping well and taking care of yourself and eating well and, getting some sunlight and all that, like chances are your immune system is pretty good. It can fight. It has a better chance of fighting off bacteria and viruses. Similarly, right, if we're feeling anxious or overwhelmed or overstimulated, confused, frustrated, angry, our defenses might be down, right? Like it allows these beliefs to kind of enter unnoticed and almost provide the sense of relief. So, similarly, we do recommend and we'll talk more about these, recommendations a little later in the show, but we'll talk about mental health hygiene essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another kind of misconception. This is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. Have you heard this expression that's like, don't attribute to malice what you could equally attribute to ignorance? Mm-hmm. So basically, don't assume that if somebody is sharing incorrect information that they're doing it with malice. A lot of times they're sharing it out of some misguided sense of care or an attempt to warn people about a perceived danger. As misguided as that might be, it is still coming from a place of trying to help, which is very complicated. Which
actually, this does remind me of a study I read in 2025 by Barlev and Newberg. So sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. Mm-hmm. But they essentially, their study is titled, Rational Reasons for Irrational Beliefs. So essentially that, exploring the idea of why do people believe these, clearly false or misguided things, and it, again, it all boils down to this social loyalty, right? What does this mean for my social status, for who my connections are, my relationships? People might blindly or willingly or subconsciously, both willingly and unwillingly submit to these things because it makes their social dynamics a little easier. And like we mentioned before, when our social dynamics are so closely related to survival, it can be really hard to unmesh those things.
Mm-hmm. You go. No, you go. You go. No, you go. No, you go. I'm not going until you go.
Let's really quickly do a little beep, beep, stop at the intersection and talk about intersectionality. Because misinformation is not really hitting people in the same way.
Yeah.
So, for example, disinformation campaigns are they're usually weaponized against specific communities. So think of the trans community, okay, or immigrants or racial minorities. You can see disinformation and misinformation about all three of those groups I just mentioned. Literally, if you open any social media app or turn on any cable news station, that's 100% of what people are doing these days is just demonizing these groups. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that these false narratives, they're used purposefully. That's the difference between disinformation and misinformation, is that when this bad information is disseminated out with the express purpose of trying to harm communities, trying to give them less social standing, trying to deprive them of whatever rights, that's disinformation, and that's extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Because people eat that up.
Mm-hmm. Because it does play into already, preconceived stereotypes or biases that like, again, provide kind of like this easy or simple explanation to things.
Yeah. I mean, how many people, this is kind of an out there one, but like, do you remember when there was that whole thing about like, they're putting litter boxes in the bathrooms of the schools for the kids who identify as cats? Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Well, none of that was real. None of that ever happened. Like, people purposefully spread that around to make people believe that, to demonize the trans community, to demonize people who are not binary, stuff like that.
Even that question, I feel like, can sometimes be like, well, what if my child identifies as this? Or, you know, it's like, yeah, plays into that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm preaching to the choir here, the people who listen to this podcast. But yes, it translates to safety risks. It's systemic discrimination. It's heightened minority stress. It's a lot. And it's a common part of the vernacular of the majority culture.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just to hone in on that point, like, it really does uniquely impact marginalized communities. So equally, digital and educational inequality. So access to media literacy tools, like we mentioned earlier, even access to certain education, tech platforms, like all of that really does matter, or really does like rely on social economic status, and even just like where you're located. Lower income communities typically are, might face also language barriers and are often intentionally targeted with specific disinformation campaigns, like we mentioned earlier, but they have fewer institutions or fewer resources really that can really help them combat that influx of misinformation. So they can really find themselves to be victims of that misinformation, sometimes maybe even believing it, and not really having the tools or resources to make sense of it, process it, or come from it.
Yeah, exactly. You just combat it in general. Yeah. Let's talk about some ways to protect our peace here. Let's talk about some ways to combat the constant slew of misinformation and disinformation.
You're not doing that.
The thing is that every time I say misinformation or disinformation, I kind of just want to say bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, because like that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's racist, bigoted, misogynistic, transphobic, all that kind of bullshit. So let's talk about how we can let that bullshit not touch us.
Honestly, because like I feel like one of the common conversations I have with clients nowadays is like, how do I strike this balance between being well-informed and protecting my mental health? And so hopefully some of these techniques will help hone in on that balance.
Yes. So here's something that we've definitely talked about before. It's called somatic grounding. And what you do is, before you have your natural reaction to something, you just take a couple seconds, take some slow grounding breaths, and try to shift yourself out of fight or flight mode before you respond to the situation. So like, you see something upsetting on TV, so you hear something upsetting out in public, just breathe, just take a few breaths and get yourself out of that mode. You know what I mean?
Well, and also if you look at it from an IFS standpoint, right, we really are asking ourselves, like, who's in the driver's seat? Do we want to be responding and reacting from a place of fear, from the part of us that feels anxious, from the part of us that is angry, from the part of us that is reactive and responsive? Like, no, you might exactly that, like Corey says, like, want to take that step back, allow yourself to ground yourself, maybe get back into the driver's seat and allow yourself to respond in a way that feels more aligned with you. Yeah,
because if you let that anxious driver drive the bus, you don't know where that bus is going. The anxious driver doesn't know the way.
Right, like we mentioned earlier, anxiety can be kind of a lowering your defenses. So if you go on, like, for example, a research rampage or a comments rampage or calling someone or whatever else, like, you're more susceptible to misinformation yourself.
Yeah.
So really allow yourself to take moments, right? Give yourself some space, give your mind some space, breathe, ground yourself, go outside, even just for 5 minutes, and see how it feels coming back to it.
Yes. And come back in there, grab Jerry, the anxiety bus driver, and yank him out of that bus seat because you are the driver.
You are the driver, not Jerry.
Yes.
Freaking Jerry. I can't believe he made it back here again.
He's always doing nasty
Can you
stuff.
freaking believe it?
First, he's delivering bills and anxiety. Now he's the bus driver.
Gosh.
Let's talk about something called the SIFT method.
I think this is really helpful.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. Essentially, this is an acronym, right? It is a media literacy tool. So think of SIFT in terms, I'm just going to say them.
Yeah.
But S is for stop, pause, when you, like Corey said, like when you see an article that is particularly triggering or, creates kind of an emotional response in you. I investigate the source, look at who is publishing it. F is for find better coverage, see if trusted or other news sources are reporting on the same thing. T is for trace. Trace claims back to the original content. Check if quotes and videos are altered. Yeah. So this really just allows you to step-by-step process to critically think about the stuff that we are consuming online.
Yeah. Stop, investigate, find, trace, SIFT.
Thank you for saying that like that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then we've also got here kind of consuming things with boundaries, boundaried consumption. So sets some rigid and intentional windows for consuming news or social media rather than endless scrolling, especially during major news events or high stress periods. So you're going to want to not just doom scroll and look for everyone and their cousin and their grandma's opinion on every single news event. You're
Correct.
not going to want to do that.
No.
And I'm telling you that because you're not going to want to do that.
Yeah. Also,
You're going to be literally saying out loud, I don't want to be doing this while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You just got to stop.
I did also want to mention that, like, remembering that a boundary is only a boundary if it's something related to, a boundary is only a boundary if it's something within your control. So no one's going to control how much media you're consuming. Only you can, so be intentional about those boundaries. And, I talk about some techniques in session with some clients and, like, for example, like the timer on social media apps, right? A lot of us feel like, oh, it doesn't work. I just ask for 15 more minutes and bypass it. But I'm not viewing it as like a full-on timer, right? I'm viewing it more so as an opportunity to check in with yourself. So every 15 minutes, you get this block. And it might just be a nice physical reminder for you to ask yourself, do I want to be doing this?
Yeah.
And then that way you can decide, okay, yeah, I do want 15 more minutes actually. Or no, I want to be intentional about my boundaries, about my time. I want to respect some of my mental health goals and I want to put this down.
Wait, you want to respect your mental health goals? Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about some common obstacles that many of us would face if in this situation, that many of us do face in this situation. So your algorithm, your social media algorithm, that's engineered to feed you more of what you're engaging with. So that makes it really hard to break out of confirmation bias loops. So what you can do is to intentionally seek out neutral fact-checking sources. You can add them to your feed. You can clear your search history. You can do what you can to disrupt the algorithm's profile of you and start trying to manage it yourself. Inject your own stuff into it.
I often call this like feeding your algorithm. So like give it content that you do want to see.
Exactly. And then for our neurodivergent listeners, our neurodivergent purple friends who are dealing with burnout or depression or just a low mental energy, all the energy required to constantly fact check everything is incredibly exhausting. So what we recommend, this is something that I do, is I have this sort of default stance of quiet skepticism where, I don't have, the mental capacity to fact check a piece of intense news that is like kind of iffy, I'm not sure about. I am going to put that to the side. I'm not just going to engage with it based on my lack of information.
Or repost it or share it or.
Yeah. And if it's really important, you're going to get more information will come out and things will become clearer.
Something that helps too is having people in your life that you're constantly having, this dialogue with that maybe you trust, and maybe you can share it with them and ask them, hey, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think?
I heard this. Is this true?
Yeah. I feel like I text you that all the time. I'm like, hey, what's the deal with this?
Yeah. We do that for each other a lot. Like, is this real?
Yeah. It's like, hey, have you heard of this?
Yeah.
So I have found that to be very helpful.
Yeah, totally. Now, there is another like really kind of unique scenario where if you belong to a marginalized group that is being actively targeted by a disinformation campaign, thinking of, we mentioned trans people earlier, just constantly for the last like 5-10 years, right? The obstacle, it's not just this lack of facts. It's like an assault. It's an assault on dignity. It's an assault on public safety, riling people up and convincing people that a certain group of people who live with us are dangerous or bad just invokes violence. There's no other way around it. And what we would suggest in that situation is really to prioritize radical self-preservation. If you are in that group that's being targeted, it's not your job, to fix the world's ignorance or constantly debate bad faith actors. In fact, none of us need to be debating bad faith actors. You can just tell them to their face, you're not talking in good faith. I'm not going to talk to you. Just don't engage with it. Just pass it along. Pass the baton of calling out falsehoods to allies. That's what they're there for. Allies, that's what we're there for.
Allies that's the work.
Yes.
That's the work, right? Is showing up in these moments and saying things when others are either too burnt out, not their responsibility, too unsafe to do it themselves,
Yeah. Yes.
So please show up for your friends.
Yes. And, in honor of Pride Month, make sure you're showing up for your queer friends, especially in today's climate when not even the big corporations even bothered to put rainbows in their profile pictures anymore. Like,
we're
nothing.
Truly asking ourselves, like, what is better, no representation or performative representation?
Turns out performative representation, I guess, was better. This is like, whoa, what kind of American are you kind of vibes.
Yeah,
I hate it here. Okay, anyway, let's transition to something a little more hopeful. Let's take a look at some hope for the future, some progress that's being made. There's this psychological concept called psychological inoculation or pre-bunking. Basically, the way it works is you teach people basically how information can be manipulated before they encounter false or manipulated information. So research finds that people who have built up these sort of like cognitive defenses to specifically to misinformation and disinformation, it's kind of like a vaccine. So we're finding that there is like a way to sort of immunize yourself to misinformation and disinformation just by engaging with like understanding, how it's done, how they make the misinformation, how they make the disinformation. It can really help.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like it kind of sounds like rebranded critical thinking.
It is. You know what? It's funny. It's kind of like critical thinking. It's just
it's like
that doesn't sound right.
Oh,
let me think about it for a second.
And critical thinking skills come through the form of education.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it turns out that when you tell people that information can be manipulated and show them how to do it, then they can spot it. So that's cool.
Yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand with this idea of like this grassroots movement towards like global digital media literacy education, both in schools and in communities. More public resources are being dedicated to identifying and dismantling coordinated manipulation campaigns, ensuring that public awareness is slowly catching up to the technology. Because obviously, like, AI is quick. And people are quick to use it. So we kind of have to also keep up with that. So having resources in the community and in our schools, and honestly in any other kind of like like us, like we're talking about disinformation and misinformation, is really nice. It's really hopeful to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, marginalized communities are continuing to build highly effective hyperlocal networks to protect and to validate and to share accurate resources with one another, proving that, as always, collective care is a powerful antidote to institutional neglect, which is what we are dealing with.
Truly. I mean, it goes back again to what I mentioned earlier about how like our social dynamics are linked to our survival. Our communities are so beneficial on so many levels. Yes, they provide so many resources and support, but then they provide protections, right? They provide immunizations. They provide second opinions or whatever else, So we are always going to highly encourage y'all to build your communities, to invest in your communities, to that it is a worthwhile investment to give back and to be vulnerable, because we do understand that it is vulnerable, right? It is vulnerable work to put yourself out there, to network, to meet new people, can be exhausting sometimes, but it is truly so beneficial. So if you can, we do encourage y'all to do that, especially if you are part of any marginalized group. It can feel really good to feel like you're not alone and feel like you do have a village behind you. Yeah,
totally. And if you're like listening to this like at your house and you're like, I want to do that, I'll do that later, so you don't forget about it, listen to our community episode too, because that's got a lot of really good information about how good it is to just have a nice community of peers.
And tangible ways on how to do that and how to build one.
Absolutely. Gang, we really want to thank you for joining us today. Sorry, it's a bit of a shorty. We had kind of a scheduling crunch. We could only do it for this short amount of time, but we'll be back with a regular episode next time.
Yeah. We're so happy that you were able to join us. I hope that y'all are enjoying this beautiful weather. I hope it's still beautiful when y'all are listening to this. But we love ya.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, if you want to interact with the show, you can follow us on Instagram, Purple Friends Podcast, where we post our Little Gratefuls, and we ask for your Little Gratefuls in the comments. You can also go to purplefriends.org, where you can listen to highlights. You can find us on all of your favorite podcatchers, all that good stuff. Check us out. Yeah. Please follow us, rate us on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. We love you so much. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. We love you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Purple Friends is an independent podcast produced by Vibe Therapy Services and is not a substitute for a session with a real therapist.
Our show art was created by me, Jocelyn Lang.
And our theme music is Nature Nurture by me, The Implied Bear.
Vibe Therapy is an Illinois-based private practice servicing clients in person at our Wheaton office and virtually throughout the state of Illinois.
We accept Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, Aetna, and Cigna insurance. We also offer cash pay rates, financial assistance, and free 15-minute initial consultations where you can get a feel for our practice.
Think of it as a vibe check. Therapy doesn't have to feel clinical. Visit vibetherapyservices.com today to see if we vibe.
Thanks for listening.